Those businesses that do very well are first generation. And believe me, one thing, I've seen enough, you see Meta, you see Google, you see Reliance. Then the second question which I ask people is कि मैं आप पे कितने पैसे डुबाऊंगा तो आप मेरा मुंह तोड़ोगे. So you buy when valuations are lower like they are now, you may buy a little more, and when valuations are higher, but then you must also sell and not buy more. No? So that is how the balance will be maintained.
Correct.
Now is the time to put in more money into equity, but that will only happen if you were also smart enough to sell.
At the right time.
Now you want to buy more, but then you don't want to sell.
Correct.
No. Then this thesis will fail.
Welcome, Maj Ashish Chadha, to Make Me a Star Studio. Maj Ashish Chadha is CEO of Chadha Investments, and he manages a few thousand crores of portfolios. He's got great insight into the investment, and Major Ashish Chadha, as the name suggests, he has been a Fauji, and I'm lucky to say that he's my course mate, NDA course mate. His journey from a Fauji, from NDA cadet to financial advisor and wizard has been really fantastic. Major Ashish, welcome to Make My Star Studio.
Thank you very much, Ravi. It's a great privilege and honor, and I'm hoping you will make me a star.
You are already a star. Thank you so much for sparing your time and coming to us. Major Ashish, would you like to tell our viewers how your journey started from NDA cadet, then finally you became a gunner officer, you served in Siachen also, and you left Forge without pension quite early. And since then, you have been doing phenomenal work in the financial field. Would you like to tell our viewers about your journey? Interesting one.
Correct. Like most middle class kids, I too come from a Fauji background. Dad was in the Forge. My father's elder brothers had started a broking business in Lahore pre-partition.
Okay.
And what used to happen was that I used to go from the academy to play polo for the academy team. Privileges of being an AC officer's son. So we had access to horses as a cadet.
I remember you have been a good rider.
Correct. So I used to go riding. I started riding when I was 6 or 7 years old, and polo when I was, I think, 14, 15. So I started going to Bombay to play polo and to ride show jumping, as well as to Delhi. So all of a sudden, as a young cadet, instead of double outdoors, that is PT drill in the morning and camps through the year, I would have the unique privilege of slinking off, to play polo and hobnobbing with the commandant and big industrialists in these respective cities, and a lot of freedom. And obviously, you missed the PT and drill, which was the big relief
those days,
and caused a lot of heartburn to cadets back in the squadron. So I used to go and sit with my father. Most kids don't like hanging out with their parents, so I would go and hang out with my father, who would just started this business after retirement. Small, जैसे आपने अपना भी स्टूडियो शौकिया तौर पे शुरू किया है.
correct.
So he would take advice from my uncle, and I would also go and sit with my uncle. And I found it quite silly in the beginning, to be honest. But then, because I had nothing to do, I would. You only ride in the morning and you ride in the evening.
Correct.
Through the day, you have time. So I would hang out with my dad. Then I used to also go to play services squash. So there also I got a chance to meet, folks in Mumbai. And I got exposed to financial markets at a very young age. When I came to the, joined the artillery. So the artillery has something very interesting. It's full of numbers.
Yes.
So when you're doing range table calculations, and when you're bringing down fire, there's a fair amount of mathematics that that goes in. So that kind of kept my interest in numbers. Essentially. And again, because I would go home and 2 months, we had a small flat, I think would not have been more than 900 square feet. So the first day when I landed up home, Dad says, son, you have to get up at 7 because office will start at 8. I was like, what's that talking? And all of a sudden, Mr. Cherian came in into the small DDA flat that we lived. And, that desk was his office. So we had no choice but to get up by 8. And, so I had again nothing to do. So I would go with dad wherever he was. So, one advice to young people is hang out with the elders and keep your mouth shut and listen to them. It's very profitable in the long run.
Very nice advice.
I've ended up traveling the whole world. We'll come to that a little later. So, and wherever dad went, I would kind of tail him. And there sit with my uncle, sit with his prospects and clients. And I would go back to being a gunner. I thought I was a passionate soldier. I had a chance to join the ASC or the 61 CAB, or even join the RT riding team, but I wanted to be a soldier, Then what happened was that I was sent to Siachen. That's a funny story where I actually had an operation on my buttocks, and so they thought that because of that operation, when I was sent off to Siachen, they actually thought that I am lost, or I don't want to go. Actually, what had happened was that because of no communication, I was sitting at the Leh airfield, for 3 days, and because of the bad weather, they were not able to send me there, to the glacier. And now I was very fond of reading, so I had carried some books with me. And for some reason, don't ask me why, I guess something is serendipity. I had ordered the Economic Times to come to me.
Okay.
So when I was on any post, I had so much of time, and I would get some 10-15 papers at a stretch. So I had the next 15 days to read those newspapers. I understood very little, but I would read through from page 1 to the last page, and I'd carried a lot of books on military history, etc. My focus that time was purely the Forge.
Forge, yeah.
And by God's grace, did reasonably well on all my courses.
Yes.
So, but this was just part-time fun reading, though I didn't understand much. But the editorials in the Economic Times were very nice.
Okay.
So that kind of, it like you were, all of a sudden you take a break, you do flying, and then you do podcasts. So I would read. And what happened was that, so whichever post I went to, I also had the proud privilege of serving on the planet's highest fighting post.
Yes. And those were the starting days of Siachen operations.
Correct.
Pioneers. I think you must have been one of the pioneers.
Correct. So, I was there for after my tenure was over, I was sent there for an assault. So what happened in the process was that, this particular post was very, it was, when you looked up, you only saw God above you.
Correct.
And you actually looked down on MiGs. So, fighter planes had no surprise for me. Because whenever they would fly, I could see them from far sitting on my OP. And the sound didn't matter because I had already seen them. Once or twice we actually picked up pebbles and kind of chucked it, and we realized that they were flying through us. So all of a sudden a very strange thing happened. Ravi, I kind of learned to deal with my fear. And that feeling, when my tenure was finishing and we were going down, the feeling that came in was that I can't go higher in life than this.
Correct.
And after that, they were like, I want to move on because for 28 years, 29 years, I've been a Fauji kid. I must move on. That is at the young age of 25, I think that feeling seemed to come in. Don't ask me. With just pure serendipity,
Okay.
And I knew I was actually looking down on the whole world.
So top of the world. Huh?
You were on top of the world, December, January, and there's nobody higher than you in the world.
Minus 40 to minus 60 temperatures.
Correct. And it was very Spartan caveman living. It was very, very early. There were no bunkers also.
That time we were not that well equipped also.
Correct.
आपके जूते नहीं ठीक थे, आपके पास jackets सही.
No, to be fair, the jackets and all were good, but there were no living. So we used to live in a para where the first day I thought it was very romantic because I saw the stars and the moon, and then after some time I saw white coming in, and you realize there's snow falling. And they said that this is shrapnel. This is shrapnel which has come when fire comes from Pakistan. So I was like, boss, and I'm sleeping here. So I think a lot of the fear of the unknown, it did not vanish, but I kind of learned to deal with it.
Correct.
It gave me a sense of adventure. Then what happened was, I ran my normal courses. Again, Touchwood did very well. So academically, one was always...
Yes, you were always there on top.
What happened, the army, for some strange reason, even though so when I went for my JC course, I was very lucky. The instructors were very surprised that, I've already applied to leave the army and I studied so hard. And by God's grace, one got a very, very good grading on that. So they were even more surprised that why did I study so hard. So these two things were not linked. My dad told me, he says, if you do JC, it will stand you in good stead. I kind of hero worship my father,
Correct.
And it has again helped me a lot in the long run. So I did, because he and my CEO challenged me that show us that you're doing it well. But I learned a lot. So that further refined a sense of tactics. And when I came back from there, even though my CEO knew that I want to leave the army, he still put me to head a counterinsurgency group in J&K.
Okay.
And that was an eye opener, you see, because we guys, ex-NDAs tend to be very straitjacket, cut and dry. There I realized I was dealing with crooks, more crooks, ruffians, civil administration, the cops.
Correct.
And उनका कोई टाइम का कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं है, मतलब हाँ का मतलब ना भी होता है, ना तो कभी बोलता ही नहीं है कोई, कोई टाइम से नहीं आता है, पहुंच रहा हूँ can mean 1 day also 2 days. And we were just me, one Sardar who was from a local, and a Jat. So the three of us were like, and we had no formal training, and they would say, get us information. So it took me a lot of time, but I kind of, we are enterprising fellows. So thanks to my father's grooming me for this business, because of association. So I kind of managed to make my way, and over time we were very successful in that when we ran that team. And we kept that area quiet. Most importantly, we caught some insurgents, caught weapons.
Basically, very successful.
It was a very successful tenure, and that further opened me up. कि boss, जो होगा देखा जाएगा. Can do, will do. Let's get on with it, and that's how I, made this transition. Because by then I developed an interest. I was also involved in the Punjab CI ops when there was a lot of Pakistani crossing over into the country.
Okay.
So there we used to we were on the Sutlej handling infiltration as well, when a lot of killings happened in Ludhiana. So we were responsible for that area. So again, there my interaction with civilians was very high. So I think between these three interactions with the CV street. Is what finally, and because I would get time to read, so I would read, and that improved my knowledge. And then the Harshad Mehta boom happened, and I think by then I knew that I must change career. So that is why this crazy. In hindsight, I remember my mother's face; she was ashen red when she got a call from Army headquarters saying, "Congratulations, your son has been relieved." And the first instinct was, I'll never forget that moment. 3:30 in the afternoon. The sun was streaming on her face. It just turned red. I just knew that I think my release has come. So it was quite tough. I think the first 5 years was very difficult because CV Street has a very different way of functioning than the Forge. Nobody.
I remember your advice to me when I started doing some business after leaving Forge, and you told me that it's not easy, and yes, I ended up losing a lot of money. But you had forewarned me, so. That's why I appreciate the way you succeeded and you have performed. You have done so well. Fantastic.
That's good luck, and I think I have a very good team and good education from the elders. Like I said, I'm harping back on the elders because the advantage is that what happens is if you learn from the elders, then you see their mistakes,
yes,
and you learn. Then you don't have to do those. Otherwise,
you repeat.
You repeat, and then you learn. So that puts you back 5-7 years.
Exactly.
And so that's how I kind of got into. So I had a reasonably small idea about equity investing, about fixed deposits, but a lot of what we did, we learned after leaving the army, obviously.
Ashish, this is really fantastic that after leaving Forge so early without pension, and thereafter you have performed so well that you have been on top of the table 17 times and $1 million round table, I think 24 times. I actually could not get it. Can you just explain what is it?
So, Ravi, this is actually the world's premier association of financial professionals. Uh, this has very strict criteria for entry.
Yes.
It is not by it is by invitation. You have to meet certain basic performance standards. And see, you can meet the standard 1 year or 2 years, but you cannot do this year after year, year after year. So. The basic entry level now, there would be probably about 1 lakh financial advisors, agents, financial professionals across the world who are probably members of the $1 Million Roundtable. That's the base entry level, right? So that's something like doing a graduation from an Ivy League college in any country in the world, right? Then there is another layer, go to the table. So that's probably like doing a PhD, PhD, more like a master's degree, from a premier MBA college. And top of the table is very small. I think 2,000-3,000 people qualify worldwide. So across the world, and our business has had the good fortune of doing it for 17 years. So hopefully कुछ तो ठीक से ही करते होंगे. It also means, and we are now working 3rd and 4th generation in the same family.
Correct.
For some inexplicable reason, my father was not a finance guy. I'm not a finance guy, and my son has also now chosen to, dip his feet in the waters, and so he's also joined. So in case he picks up and he performs well, then our business probably has a 50-year runway more.
Correct.
Ahead, of course, baki to rabdi mein rahe, but if you just go by basic mathematics of human longevity, he's just 23, 24. So our company could potentially serve clients for another 50 years, bade aaram se.
And I believe you got a couple of thousand crores. You are handling so many portfolios.
Yeah, so वो तो रब्दी में रहे, but अगर ठीक से, see, the good thing about private enterprises and capitalism is that if you work hard, there are obviously lots of shortcomings. We need to further improve our systems as business has scaled up, and we are at it. But I think there are a few basic things anywhere in the world. One, you have to be reliable, right? So you have to deliver consistently, and the second thing is that you have to deliver good stuff.
Yes.
Yes. You have to deliver good stuff, and the most important thing in our line of work is that when somebody walks in through your door, चाहे उसके पास 54 है, चाहे 98 है, चाहे 100 रुपए हैं, चाहे 1000 रुपए हैं, चाहे 1 करोड़ है, चाहे 10 करोड़ है या 100 करोड़ है, everybody has to be treated with the same degree of respect.
That's actually great of
and with the same honesty. So it is, but obvious a smaller guy will not get so much of time and so much of attention. But the portfolios that we construct are exactly the same. So see, the important point is I should never be second guessed by AI or or on the internet. So so I think that is the crux of
handling this,
of handling all this. That's how touch wood it happens. And you need a good team. I'm very blessed. Most of our team members are 15, 20, 30 years old with me.
In fact, I was quite impressed when I saw every time you. I think every year you are sending your people out on recreation with the families. All your employees are going, and they're going to fantastic places, and all that is from company side. Kids are enjoying, whole family is enjoying. This is something really great. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Ravi, so आप एक चीज़ देखो ना, फौज में रह के हम लोग एक ही चीज़ अच्छी तरह सीखे, तो how to keep your team happy.
Yes.
When
and they're like family. Treat them like a family.
So when I was in combat, nobody. So there is no bullshitter dying for the country. That's pure bullshit.
Correct.
Right. My personal thing, having been through life in combat situations for a large part of my service career, has been I do it because I don't want to lose face in front of my colleague. He does it because he doesn't want to lose, and we want our battery or OP party ka izzat or shaan. So finally, just boils down to namak nishan. So I think the same principle, So if I am whichever hotel I am staying in, my colleagues will also stay with me in the same hotel.
Great.
So and my sense is that I've been very privileged and blessed. So I might as well, So what has happened is we've taken our kids to North India, South India, East India, West India, to an island of Indian shows, because if the more young people will travel, the more awareness happens. And look at it this way: it's simple man management. No, if the child is happy, the spouse is happy. If the spouse is happy, your team member is happy. So
everybody delivers then to their best.
so कल को कोई late हो रहा है, overtime काम कर रहा है, no, there is no kit. So these are basic, and these basic things that in the battery, what did you do? You ate the same food. You when you were out on operation, you slept in the same place. वो ठीक है, वो तुम्हारे लिए चादर लगा देगा, और he'll carry your backpack.
Correct.
But but he'll give you tea first. But you shared the same puri. The same. If there was just one cup of tea, 4 of us would share it.
और
एक घूंट तो
स्टील के ग्लास में वही चाय हमने भी पीनी है, उसने भी पीनी है, तो ये सब चीजें
बेसिक थिंग्स फ्रॉम द
फौज की अच्छी ट्रेनिंग, अच्छी सिखलाई जो है वो यहाँ भी काम आती है,
बहुत काम आती है.
एंड आशीष, इतने पोर्टफोलियो आप हैंडल करते हो अपनी कंपनी में, ये जो अभी हाल में पैनिक हुआ बिकॉज ऑफ मिडिल ईस्ट वॉर, जो भी क्राइसिस हुआ, मार्केट्स है फॉलन डाउन, जिसको ब्लड बाथ कहते हैं और क्या क्या कहते हैं, वो इन्वेस्टर्स का इसमें जो है वो उनका तो जो है काफ़ी नुकसान भी हुआ है और लोगों का काफ़ी दिल टूटा है. ठीक है, तो व्हाट इज़ योर टेक ऑन दैट? बिकॉज बेसिकली सी यू हैव सीन अदर स्कैम्स, सीन सम वॉर टाइम सिचुएशंस ऑल्सो. तो मार्केट तो ऐसे ही जो है वो गिरता है तो बहुत बुरी तरह गिरता है, तो जो इन्वेस्टर्स का कॉन्फिडेंस है वो टूट जाता है. वो इसके बारे में जो है आप थोड़ा बताएंगे कि कैसे उनको हैंडल करना चाहिए और व्हाट इज़ योर एडवाइस?
So see, I've been in markets from 87. So VP Singh put Dhirubhai Ambani in jail. Reliance, I think, fell from 200 to 20. Hindustan Lever fell from 200 to 100. So I was frozen. I was a young boy, 23 years old, when I saw all this. So that is the time I realized that there is nothing, stock markets, bond markets, currency markets, it's pure capitalism, right? So that was my first indoctrination. And in capitalism, it is caveat emptor, buyer beware. So the first important thing is that you have to be very clear that the moment you leave the safety of a bank, your principal is at risk.
Okay, the safest is a bank.
A bank or an RBI bond. The moment you move out of that, your principal is at risk. Now, if you don't move into these instruments, then every year, because you're consuming interest, your principal will be eaten away by inflation.
Exactly.
तो यहाँ आप यहाँ मरोगे या यहाँ कटोगे. अब आपकी मर्जी है कि मरना है या कटना है. Right?
Correct.
So, and we are a developing economy, so we are an inflationary economy, right? And if you are fast growing, inflation तो आएगा ही आएगा, basically, right? So you have to be clear that the moment you're stepping into
high risk,
it's not high risk, into capitalism. See, you have to be ready that your principal is at risk. So if you seem to believe that your principal is not at risk, it is not the system's fault, it is your problem.
Exactly. You're misgiving your own.
Yeah. So you have you have a wrong perception. So the important thing here is you have to read. And I don't mean all this fin influencer and social media. I think social media is a lot of bullshit.
Yes.
Right? Because the problem is you have to fundamental thing is see who's paying. If Google is free, that means you are the wakra. अभी अगर आपको ये बात नहीं समझ में आ रही या बेटा आप Instagram में अगर आप अच्छा, so दो चीजें होती हैं. One, they have an agenda. So we do a lot of social media. We started buying equities in these companies from 2009 because I realized that everyone is. I was on a train to France and I realized that I had an iPad. And when they saw me, at least 20 kids came and said, "Hey, can we see what is this? What are you doing?" So imagine a Kalu, Indian, in France. I had 20 guys surrounding me. I was on a flight to the US. 3 suites of all the people came up and said, "Can we see your iPad?" So the point is that social media, what happens is that anybody who's giving information for free basically wants his Google points to be monetized, right? So you have to be very careful of what you are seeing on social media. I would urge people to go back to reading, and take your, like for example, in our offices, our TVs are banned. I don't let any TV come in because, what happens is that there's a fast brain and there's a slow brain. The moment a sensational news comes, you see, humans are basically hunters. So anything moving, you will throw a spear to hunt it.
Exactly.
It's a threat to your life. Same thing when, TV sensation, अभी मैं लिख के अगर मैं बोलूँ कि, our Prime Minister has inaugurated a dam which will benefit, a million lives, and he's inaugurated a road which will run for 500 kilometers, which you can drive on 200 kilometers. That's not news, right? But 3 sixes in an over, a film star's personal life, that is what excites people or a scandal. So humans are also wired in their minds. There's something called the amygdala. And the prefrontal cortex. So these parts of the brain are meant to
excite,
keep you
produce adrenaline.
So tabhi wo item numbers have always been popular. Yes. So read. Coming back to the point I'm trying to make, that you have to learn to read, and you must. Now, if you will not read, and again you will make an investment. Because either TV or social media showed it to you, won't have a problem.
Basically, your fundamentals are not correct.
बट किसी ने बोल दिया तो आपने खरीद लिया, किसी ने बोल दिया तो आपने बेच लिया. एंड द थर्ड थिंग इज दैट सी मुकेश अंबानी जी डज नॉट सेल हिज कंपनी एवरी डे, राइट? Adani ji has created a powerhouse over time. Look at how the Bharti has come up from scratch. But all these businesses have been built over 20, 30, 40 years.
Correct.
So your portfolio also needs to be built over
period of time.
So businesses happen over time. Now, so the stock market, if you're going to trade in and out, it's a gambling then. So आप ये मत बोलो आप invest कर रहे हो.
Correct.
So most of the guys who are hurt today are people who went on to the website and saw the best performing fund. Or last 1 year return, 2 year return. Now, obviously, when the market is in a boom, a small cap fund will be
going up,
will be giving the highest return. But did anybody check the P ratio? P ratios on small cap funds 2 years ago were 40, 45. Basically, what it means is कि अगर आप आज पैसे डालोगे, it will take you 45 years for your money to get back. Now, after something is sitting on a P of 45, in between, I think Tesla was on a P of 300. So 300 means वो 300 साल में पैसा वापस आएगा. So if you are, so this is another important point. Are you buying the correct valuation?
Correct.
If you're not buying the correct valuation, fine. But are you aware of it? होता क्या है, मैंने उसने टिप आया मेरे को, I would see the basic thing is nobody is ever going to get rich fast.
Yes.
Like you do not go from you don't go from being a 10-year-old boy or girl to a 60-year-old man or woman. It takes 50 years. So investments also, you have to invest with, if you're doing equity market 7-10 years, if you are investing in fixed income instruments, there are different categories, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. But you want to make more money. So instead of putting money into, if you need money in 6 months, instead of putting money in a 6-month product, you go and stick it into an equity fund. Then somebody comes along and says, नहीं जी, इसमें तो small cap में और भी return आएगा, या crypto में और return आएगा. तो फिर you go there. तो 6 महीने में अभी, I hear of so many horror stories where बच्चों की पढ़ाई के फीस के पैसे देने. I also learned this lesson back in 95. I had to pay my house installment. So I said, I'd sold some shares and I made 3 lakh rupees, which was equivalent to my house installment, which was like 6 months away. So I said, यार 6 महीना है, I'll buy a very safe share, Hindustan Lever. वो तो नीचे नहीं जाएगा. Hindustan Lever fell 20%. I was given money to buy a fridge, right? And I said, यार ये fridge में तो अभी 6 महीने हैं, अभी तो मैं field area में हूँ. तो FD में तो मेरा पैसा पड़ा ही है, इसके मैं I remember Indo-Asian Fuse Gear and a marble company back in 96, 97, 98 I think. No, sorry, 92. And that marble company and Indo-Asian Fuse Gear fell by 70%.
Oh.
What is different is Indo-Asian Fuse Gear I think went on to become Schindler, which now sells for $1,000. But when I needed the fridge,
frozen.
So I had to encash my FD, otherwise घर में डांट पड़नी थी मेरे को. So you have to time your not. So if you have not done that, it's not my problem, it's your problem.
Correct.
Right? I've just come, when I came here, I came from a meeting where we were a very old relationship of ours, very savvy, very corporate person, understands markets brilliantly. He's always an equity buyer, right? Very savvy, done extremely well, very patient, never bothered. But I had to tell him, I said, sir, you are not well. You're not able to take decisions. Now he's about 87, 88. You're not well. You can't take decisions. And you need money for hospitalization. So you can't be in equity. So I reduced his equity exposure. So that brings me to another point. What asset allocation are you following? तो अगर आप इक्विटी कर रहे हैं तो आपको 7, 10, 15 साल का होल्डिंग तो रखना पड़ेगा. अदरवाइज 7, 10, 15 नहीं कर रहे हो तो फिर आप सट्टा कर रहे हो. आप सट्टे का तो फिर उसका तो फिर कोई तो अनंत है. मतलब यू कैन बेट गो टू देयर आर दिस there's a satta market which has opened up in the US. I'm forgetting the name, Piccadilly market or something like that. So there, you go and place bets. Will this man live for so long? Will this bridge be knocked off in so many days? So you can go and place bets on anything that you want. Correct. On gambling company. So then you are gambling, you're not investing. So I think the first thing so most people who will be hurt are people. And plus, what has happened is in our country, the tax laws have been changed to enable money to move into riskier assets. Now, see, nobody going to tell you don't invest, because the entire marketing machinery of the asset management industry and an investment banker works around the fact that let more money come in, more money come in. Correct. Now, they do a brilliant job of managing the money, but are you buying risky assets or are you buying safe assets? So in a market boom, so what has happened is nothing new. I've seen this happen in 2000, I've seen it happen in 2008, I've seen it happen in 92, 87. So आप एक चीज महाभारत देखो ना, महाभारत में 2 भाई थे, एक ही दादा से थे. अभी फाइनली चलो झगड़ा हुआ, सुलह हुई, तो बोले तुम 5 गांव रखो और अपना यहाँ 5 भाई और एक द्रौपदी जी साथ रहो, खुशी से रहो, बच्चे करो और ऐश करो. और उधर दुर्योधन सर थे, उनको इतने सारी जायदाद मिली, हस्तिनापुरम तो दिल्ली में ही रहते हैं, तो इतना सब कुछ मिल गया उसको. तो अब एक बात बताओ, इनको युधिष्ठिर जी को जुआ खेलने के बुलाने की जरूरत क्या थी? और चलो उन्होंने बुला लिया, इनको उधर फिर से जाने की क्या जरूरत थी? इसी और एंड में क्या हुआ, दोनों मर गए. मतलब कोई मुझे तो नहीं पता कि कोई भी इन दोनों परिवारों में से कोई भी सदस्य बचा हो. सिर्फ दुर्योधन और उनका जो कुत्ता था, जब वो युधिष्ठिर और जब उनका कुत्ता जो 7 ऊपर गए, जब वो 4 तालाब की कहानी है, तो उनको छोड़ करके तो फिर फायदा क्या हुआ? तो क्या होता है, दूसरी बात क्या है, अभी बाजार बढ़ रहा है, हाँ आप ऊपर जा रहे हैं, तो बेचेगा कोई नहीं. हम लोगों ने इतनी मेल्स डाली हैं कि बेचो 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 बेचो, थोड़ा प्रॉफिट लो, प्रॉफिट लो.
आई रिमेंबर यू हैव बीन गिविंग एडवाइस टू पीपल कि भाई ये टाइम है, निकलो, गो एंजॉय लाइफ एंड बाहर के ट्रिप करो, घूमो फिरो, एटलीस्ट स्पेंड द मनी. तो मेरे ख्याल से वो अब तो जितना स्पेंड करना था उससे ज्यादा डूब चुका होगा.
नहीं, हमारे में बहुत लोगों ने पैसे निकाले. आई रिमेंबर अ लेडी मेरे से लड़ी थी, आशीष मार्केट गया, मैंने कहा मैडम जो आपने 4 लाख का बैग खरीदा उसका क्या हुआ? एंड द अदर थिंग इज मार्केट्स सांप है. अब सांप के
बिल में
सांप के कंड से क्योर फॉर एंटी स्नेक बाइट भी बनता है. जब उसको आप इंजेक्ट करते हो घोड़े में, और उसी से आदमी की जान भी जाती है. तो उसी तरह अगर आप गेट रिच के लिए इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हो तो कभी रिच नहीं होगे. अगर आप एक बिजनेस में पार्टिसिपेट करते हो कि जैसे जैसे कंपनी की सेल बढ़ेगी, अर्निंग्स बढ़ेंगी, कैश फ्लो बढ़ेगा, तब आपका उसमें
शेयर आता रहेगा.
वो क्या बोले, कर्मण्य वादिका रास्ते महाफलेषु कदाचन. यू हैव टू बी वांटिंग टू इन्वेस्ट इन अ बिजनेस and take its ups and downs and try and buy it at a good price. Correct. And any other asset class, for that matter. So I think if people are losing money, it's their problem, because it is capitalism. And अगर तुमको क्योंकि वो ऐड आ रहा है, एडवर्टाइजमेंट इंडस्ट्री में है ना, जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. हम लोग क्या फॉलो करते हैं, जो भी फाइनेंशियल इंस्ट्रूमेंट का ऐड दिखता है उसको खरीदोगे तो फंसोगे. So you have to be very zen, मतलब अद्वैता है ना. तो आपको अपना
इस्तेमाल करना पड़ेगा.
मस्तिष्क के अंदर जो माइंड को क्या बोलते हैं, माइंड को आपको कोल्ड स्टोरेज में डालना पड़ेगा. जैसे ही आपकी माइंड की चंचलता शुरू होगी, द मोमेंट योर माइंड गेट्स एक्टिवेटेड एंड यू आर सीइंग अ 5-star होटल, यू आर सीइंग गोइंग आउट विद अ रिच गाय इन अ कार, और you're seeing going out with a gorgeous looking young lady, those young people are going to come to grief because it doesn't work like that. You're not going to get rich fast. Let's be very clear on it. For every one Shah Rukh Khan, there are 30 lakh kids who have not made it.
Exactly.
Right? And he's monetizing it, and to his credit. And why not? You know? But nobody sees his hard work. You see, all these film stars who made it, nobody sees their hard work. And believe me, one thing, I've seen enough, you see Meta, you see Google, you see Reliance. Most businesses that do very well are first generation. People come with no money and they will rise. By the third, fourth generation, it starts to, it's a law of nature.
बिल्कुल. And that brings us to very important aspect. हमेशा कहा जाता है कि don't put all your eggs in one basket. और जो डाइवर्सिफिकेशन है उसके बारे में जो है, बिकॉज डाइवर्सिफिकेशन मैटर्स इन दिस काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन. जैसे अभी की जो सिचुएशन है उसमें जो है किसी ने पोर्टफोलियो अगर अच्छे से डाइवर्सिफाई करके रखा है तो वो उसके लॉसेस जो है थोड़े बहुत जो है वो मैनेज हो जाते हैं. व्हाट डू यू हैव टू से?
देखो, हम जब खाना खाते हैं तो सपोज यू आर वेजिटेरियन, इंडिया इज द लैंड ऑफ वेजिटेरियन, आप क्या आप सिर्फ पनीर खाते हो?
नहीं.
यू नो, जब आप अगर चाट होती है तो पूरे खाने में क्या आप चाट ही खाओगे? अगर ज़्यादा चाट खाओगे तो गला खराब हो जाएगा, लूज मोशन होगा. उसी तरह आप अगर हलवा ही खाओगे, चाहे जितनी मर्जी स्वादिष्ट, मेरे को कुल्फी और रसमलाई का बहुत शौक है. अब मैं अगर रसमलाई खाऊंगा तो फिर तभी मेरी सेहत बहुत इंप्रूव होगी कि अब बड़ी मुश्किल से डाइटिंग करी है. तो यू सी, सो द बेसिक प्रिंसिपल इज दैट इफ यू ड्रिंक टू मच, मजा आएगा, अच्छी अच्छी बातें करोगे, संगत अच्छी बनेगी, और फिर सिरोसिस भी आएगा, हॉस्पिटल के चक्कर भी लगेंगे. आई थिंक दिस इज अ वेरी बुद्धिस्ट फिलॉसफी और अ वेरी शिवा फिलॉसफी.
मध्यम वर्ग वाली है.
You have to stay balanced. You may take an extreme position for a short period of time. Like I took an extreme position in my life when I chose in 91, 92 when I decided to leave. So I think for 5 years I was very extreme, you know, because I was running like a mad dog because I had to earn a daily living to survive.
Exactly.
Till about 2000. But after that, so I know I would not have been the most... I would not have followed absolutely the straight line. I probably had diverted, digressed 20% from median. But as the business grew, we've come totally on the median now. But today we are at a stage where, you know, see, nothing can run 100% perfect. No country, no nation, no this thing. But we try and be 98, 99% on the median. So same way on your portfolio, you have to run a balanced portfolio. What is a balanced portfolio? You have to have... First, you have to decide when do you want your money back.
नहीं, उससे पहले another thing, एक balanced portfolio for a young guy of let's say around 30 years of age, another one around 40-45 years of age, and one who is almost retired 60 plus years of age. I think for three of them this will vary, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, but the balance will not vary.
Exactly. You have to keep the balance. So diversification will vary.
So what happens is, so I'm answering it to you. कि मैं एक ही समाधान बता रहा हूँ आपको सबका. The first thing is you have to decide when do you want your money back. That's the first principle. Because if you want your money back in 6 months, then you have to put your money into an instrument where you get it back in 6 months.
Correct.
If you want your money back in 2 years, a 2-year instrument. 5-year instrument, 10-year instrument, 20-year money, 20-year instrument. That's the first principle. Then the second question which I ask people is कि मैं आप पे कितने पैसे डुबाऊंगा तो आप मेरा मुंह तोड़ दोगे.
Okay, that's
right. Now most people say hey, but it doesn't work like that. I've asked this question to even extremely wealthy guys, right? Now there's a logic to this. So what will happen is you'll say, "Ji, they don't need this money for 10 years, right?" But what happens is that unlike a house or a property or land where no prices come every day, here prices also come every moment and news also comes every moment. So in this situation, what happens is you may have 10 crores, hypothetically, but if the stock market falls 20% and it becomes 8, how will you react?
Correct.
So you have not lost money, but the values have fallen. So you have to be able to understand how much appetite to take risk and price volatility you carry in your pocket, in your stomach.
Correct.
So ये बड़ा issue है. So if you get these two answers generally right, then you will put money that you need in 6 months in a 6-month instrument, 1 year into a 1-year instrument, 2 year into a 2-year instrument. But वो ऐसे होता नहीं है. अभी जब राम जी गए वन में और सीता जी और लक्ष्मण को बोला यहीं खड़े रहना, बोला था ना, और सुना क्या दोनों ने बात? नहीं सुनी ना. अगर वो सुन लेते तो महाभारत नहीं होती.
करेक्ट. नहीं मतलब युद्ध नहीं होता,
रामायण नहीं होती, है ना. तो आदमी का मन, for again it comes back to how volatile is your temperament, but you will not be disciplined. And the moment you will not be disciplined, you will say, if in 6 months, let me make 8-9%. Not going to happen, because because the 6-month bond yield in India is only about 5.5%. There is no way you can make 9%. No way. The other thing is, in equity, people have expectations 25%, 20%. See, when you see in fin influencers or you see advertisements on social media, nobody tells you for what period he's showing it.
Exactly.
वो fine print में आ जाता है.
वो selected period का दिखा करके.
So there is no way, nothing. See, when there's a cardinal rule for this. Whatever is the 10-year bond yield of a country, you are not going to make more than 3-4% more than that. आप जो मर्जी कर लो, मैंने सारे देख लिए, इतने साल हो गए अब तो. So अगर if the 10-year bond yield in India is 6.5%, 10-11% is all that you can make on a composite portfolio. Which has liquidity. In a pure equity portfolio, आपको 11-12% से रिटर्न ऊपर आने वाली नहीं है, चाहे जो मर्जी कोई बोलता रहे, right? Because again there is a match to it. Whatever is my GDP plus inflation, add another 1 or 2%. That's what will be. So if you see the track record of all companies, businesses, they all come into 13, 14, 15, 16% over a 10-15 year time span. You see, investing is 10-15 years. Trading is 1 or 2 years. The chances of going wrong for 1 or 2 years is almost 80%.
Correct.
And anybody who's talking big, मैं सबको वही बोलता हूँ कि सर आप ऐसे करो, आपने बहुत अच्छा है आपने किया, मुझे अपना कैपिटल गेन स्टेटमेंट दिखा दो. जब कैपिटल गेन स्टेटमेंट इनकम टैक्स का दिखाओगे ना, तब मेरे को पता चलेगा एक्चुअली आपने कितने पैसे बनाए.
सही बात.
Because I will measure you in terms of how much tax you have paid.
Correct.
So when you start showing me your tax, all of a sudden everything that you are telling me on a spreadsheet and on a board, when markets are good, is good conversation, but it has no meaning.
Exactly.
So diversification is first about time and your risk appetite. That is internal to you. And the next part is, see, the earth has 70% water and 30% land, right? India is just 3% of
land.
Of land. So as a percentage of the earth, we are minuscule. There are countries which export software, hardware. We import 100 billion from China. We import stuff from hardware from the US, cars, electronic equipment from Korea, Taiwan, semiconductors from Korea, Taiwan, Japan. We import some minerals from Australia. Now lithium is starting from South America. So your portfolio has to be geographically diversified. And each part comes, each geography, Africa supplies a lot of minerals, copper, gold, the Gulf supplies oil, gas, aluminium, fertilizers. So all these things come from different geographies. So you have to, now the thing is, when you diversify like this, your returns will fall. But
correct.
For example, now the rupee has has appreciated to 96, 90, 94,
95 plus ho gaya.
So, but on the investments in dollars and Swiss franc and Japanese yen, those currencies have been more stable. But for 3-4 years, India was doing so well, 23-24% return. But at that point in time, you can't be shifting those assets here. And now you should not be shifting assets from there, from here to there. So it needs a lot of, again, so this has got nothing to do with finance. This is got to do with your discipline of not chasing return. Like for example,
and do a lot of homework on the basics and fundamentals.
पढ़ाई तो करना पड़ेगा ना सर. अगर आप बिना पढ़े See, the difference is when you are not well and you go to a doctor,
Hmm.
today everybody first Googles, chat GPTs, so everybody's trying to second guess a doctor. Now that guy is not an idiot. He spent 5 years MBBS, MD, another degree on top. अब तुम अपना थोड़ा सा AI में chat GPT में पढ़ के आप चले जाओगे तो फंसोगे. So the problem with the basic problem, see, right now AI is not monetized. Once these guys start putting ads and start running a particular, वो तो आएगा ही,
I know.
It will come. It's just a question of if it has already not started. Like social media throws out algorithms which which make you feel good and they agitate you.
Correct.
It's a combination of that. So here also the same thing will start. Now, how do you know what that post is? Is it genuine? Have you read the actual, gone onto the net and seen the actual numbers of that company?
Correct.
So you use it as a tool, but finally you have to verify it.
Get back to the basic and find out the
Correct.
fundamentals
So you
of
have
that
to
company.
diversify geographically, you have to diversify now, and you cannot have concentration. Now, our country is facing a challenge in the Gulf because a lot of gas and oil was coming from there. So but the problem is then you will not get the cheapest supply. So इसलिए हमारे जो concept है ना, कितना देती है, सस्ता है, वो होगा नहीं. You have to have multiple sources of supply. You have to have multiple sources of exports. Same way on a portfolio, you have to diversify geographically. You have to diversify asset-wise. You have to diversify time-wise. You have to diversify, most importantly, risk-wise,
Yes.
and how much loss you can bear. And as you age, you also have to diversify health-wise. If I have too many complex instruments and I die, can my wife handle it? Men love to buy complicated instruments, and then their wives have no idea
How to handle that?
How to handle it? So these are equally important aspects.
No, one thing is there, like people start saying कि देखो silver में invest किया होता है, gold में invest किया होता है, everything went up like that bubble. Now bubble has also what has happened. Gold has gone down, silver has also gone down. So this ups and down, that is where probably diversification comes into play. एक ही एसेट में तो खैर नहीं रख सकते अलग अलग, बट मार्केट इज सो वोलेटाइल दैट वे.
सर मार्केट वोलेटाइल, सांप का काम तो काटना है ना, तो मार्केट का काम भी जब आप समुद्र में होगे, द वेव्स विल कम एंड इट विल बी काम. सो why blame the market? The market will see at any point in time you should be willing to lose 40% of your capital. It's a thumb rule that at any point in time you should be ready to lose 40. If you do not have this mindset, then you will be disappointed.
I remember you told me, I have not checked, in fact I will be checking it. You told me कि बहुत सारा तुम्हारा इक्विटी में है, इक्विटी से इसको जो है डेट में भी डाल दो. So I did that. And I'm sure it must have done good now.
Yeah, you see, when you're working and you don't have any use of that end use of that money, then do whatever you want. But if you have end use of that money, then you have to have equity, debt, gold, silver, global equities, some currency hedges, land, shops. All this together, you then a house. Most people will want to go punting to buy a house. That's stupid. It's better to buy a smaller flat. And as you grow in years and as your income increase, grow to a bigger flat. See, nobody ever got rich fast. Nobody ever prospered in life by taking shortcuts. Not going to happen. So now if you want to challenge it, you will prove yourself wrong. I've seen,
Correct.
Across the globe, I've seen enough and more. And invariably there is grief because shortcuts will always lead to trouble.
And the thing which is going on as of now is that this is the market has taken a dip now. This is the right time to buy. What do you have to say?
See, again, it's the same thing. Market dip, high, it makes no difference. The basic principles don't change. Time, your personal risk appetite, diversification. The only thing is, this is something called as valuation. Now, what happens in valuation is, for example, let's take the case of India. India's average PE has been about 18, 19, right? Now, 18, 19 PE was coming on the basis of a 7%, 6.5%, 7%, 8% GDP growth and a 5%, 6% inflation. So that took you to 13, 14 and 18, 19 P was normal. Now what has happened is our GDP growth is 6.5%, 7%. Inflation as per records is 2.5%, 3%. So your GDP growth is 10. So now at 10 PE, at 10, 11 nominal growth, a 17, 18 P is fair. Is it undervalued? No. Is it fair valued? I think it is fair valued. It's an opinion. Different people can have different opinions, but this is something we've seen over time. This seems to work reasonably. So from here, I think at some point in time, whenever this global war stabilizes, I think a 10, 11, 12% number is a reasonable expectation, provided you take a 6-7 year view. In the short term, if this war stops tomorrow morning, things could go up 20%. But if this war prolongs and oil and gas gets up, it should also fall 20%. So now you can buy a little more equity. So if your asset allocation is say 60 equity, 40 debt, and you have a lump sum to put in, instead of putting in 40% in debt, you could probably do 70% in equity today. And 30% in debt. And instead of buying over a year, because valuations were very high for the last 2-3 years, you could put in all that. Out of 60 rupees lump sum, you could probably put in 30 rupees. But the basics still don't change, sir. So you buy, when valuations are lower like they are now, you may buy a little more. And when valuations are higher, but then you must also sell and not buy more. Now, so that is how the balance will be maintained.
Correct.
Now is the time to put in more money into equity. But that will only happen if you were also smart enough to sell,
at the right time.
Take some profit off the table a year or two back. And also at that point in time, you put a higher sum of money in debt. So where you get into trouble is you have to stay balanced. Now you want to buy more, but then you don't want to sell.
Correct.
Then this thesis will fail.
Okay, so the point is that in this volatile market and the present situation, you says that hold. There is no need to do the panic selling.
So why would you say? See, the problem is if you have bought small and mid caps. See, again, if you have bought a stable company with decent cash flows, low debt, stable companies, steady businesses, Tata Steel, Bharti Airtel, Reliance, L&T. Now, they may have business ups and downs, but the basic business is strong. They may have a macroeconomic up and down, but the basic business is strong. ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, and these are just the good companies in the country. And you also have good small cap companies. The problem is you've got small cap companies at P ratios of 60, 70, 80. Bole aur upar jayega. The problem is usme debt bahut hai. So if you bought into a, for example, so many businesses were running high debt. In the past, JCT, Balarpur, Escorts, they were running very high debt equity ratio. So they had, they had bad period. Now, if you're buying high debt equity companies with high loans, with poor sales, falling sales, there was a company called Nagarjuna Fertilizers. But look what happened to JP. If you're buying this on P's, at 200, 300 rupees, and with no justification of P's, you could get into serious trouble. So those companies will not come back. So what happens is in every bull market, ye letter-putter share, we call them penny stocks. They boom, and you've done research because 10 friends have bought. I have enough horror stories over here. So boom, if you're going to buy small and mid caps and essentially companies with high debt, with high leverage, because it is going to do very well in the future, like these drone companies came up in between, you won't get into trouble. So that has got nothing to do with high market or bad market. It is your own ability to go chasing momentum.
And what is the advice for those who are going to the SIPs?
Sir, SIP is no solution. देखो SIP में क्या है उसको
continue with that.
So the asset management industry would love an SIP. Why? Because the money is coming in. See, the asset manager is not compensated if you make a money. He doesn't get an extra. He gets compensated if you. If anybody who's raising money, could be the government, could be the asset manager, they get compensated for raising the money. They don't get compensated for performance. Okay. So you have to see where are you putting in SIP. Are you putting in an SIP for 8-10 years? So if you're not, so the basics in SIP is also putting in money. But if you're putting in all your money in equity and the market is booming, obviously you're going to have a problem. But by and large, if you take an 8-10 year, again, if you're in small caps and you do an SIP at high valuation, you never get your money back. right?
Correct.
Then you have to hold probably for 10, 15 years. But in SIP, if it is done sensibly, see, an SIP doesn't mean you don't take profit. So when the market is down, you are buying, but nobody seems to be talking about what the asset management industry doesn't tell you to sell, no?
Correct.
Because the moment you sell, uska fees jayega, na? तो मेरा fees कहाँ से आएगा? So it is also important to SIP will work if you have also sold in a high market. So it is always Ardhanarishwar, no, in the sense that
keep buying,
buying and selling has to happen.
Has
You
to
know, you
happen.
can't be like Abhimanyu then. So Ardhanarishwar means buying and selling are part of the same portfolio.
Correct.
More than so invariably, what happens is something to do with the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex again. You will not sell in a booming market.
It happens.
And you will not buy in a because मेरे पैसे नहीं चाहिए and you will not buy in a falling market पता नहीं कितना गिर
पता नहीं कितना
So फिर वहीं रहेगा ना बीच में.
So, you have to take a very informed decision, and that's where people like you come into play with your financial acumen and foresight. I think investors are getting good benefit. And Ashish, it is really great talking to you. I think our talk can continue because there are so many things to be talked about and learned from you. But that we will do sometime later.
Sure.
Okay. And thank you so much for sparing your time, valuable time, for
Sure.
making me star. Okay.
Well,
Thanks.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. And hopefully I'll be a star.